right, topic number 2 in the Small Business Destruction Guide. Don't bother researching. So, if you read the book and you know that I go into a little bit of, explore a little bit about the Blockbuster movie rental place that kind of vanished a few years ago. And the reason why they kind of went out of business is because they really didn't innovate. They didn't really follow the pattern of the industry that they were in, which is the movie industry. And obviously the digital movie industry kind of took them out of business. Had they been smart and wise and the amount of money they had and the amount of even franchises that this pretty much a huge business had, they would have followed the digital industry and somehow possibly been able to monetize in that, pretty much moving into a digital age. Anyway, I'm talking about a small business destruction guide here, so I want to focus on small businesses. I use that as an example because of the local Blockbuster in my town that kind of expanded, spent literally as much money as most businesses would, I'm certain, certainly spend to open up and to build out a space. And literally a few months later, they had the sign out, going out of business, which everybody was kind of anticipating. But anyway, obviously they did not do their research on their own market, which is kind of ridiculous because everything was pointing to the digital industry at that point. Anyway, what about you? What about you? If you have an existing business, and how would this particular topic about bothering or getting involved with research, and literally today, if you do not research your industry, whether it's an existing industry or an industry you want to get into in the event that you want to start your business anytime soon, and you don't do research, or you have an excuse for not doing research, I am very, very, very sorry to tell you that you are a moron, because there is literally no excuse in today's day and age. This is 2020 that I'm recording this, May of 2020, because there is something called Google. I just put Google on the board here because, my goodness, listen, I have no problem with my age. I'm 51 years old. I am from an age that if you wanted to research something, you had to go into something called an Encyclopedia Britannica, all right? And literally a family that had an Encyclopedia Britannica literally had to be a rich family, because these books, and if you're younger than, 30, you probably have no idea what an Encyclopedia Britannica is. Just Google it. Go on Google and research what an Encyclopedia Britannica was. It basically was Google in a book, but very limited, because Google gets updated pretty much every day, and anything new that happens in the world in any industry can get updated literally right away. And Encyclopedia Britannica, in case you don't know what it is or never saw one, is basically a book, a very thick book in alphabetical order. And I remember my parents paying this encyclopedia set, which wasn't, there was like a different, if I can remember correctly, there was different levels of the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think you got a base one, a medium. Anyway, I guess the only difference in the various different prices was how much, how many volumes you got or something. I can't remember. But anyway, all I know is that my parents paid this thing off over years. They literally had to mortgage, get a mortgage to kind of pay off this Encyclopedia Britannica. But that was our Google, and we had to sit there and read the information we wanted and research that. And so it was helpful for us in school, because anytime that we had to research anything for school, we'd go in and study that. Why am I telling you this? Because that's no longer needed. That's no longer available, basically, if you have Google. And everybody has Google. Listen, anybody with a phone nowadays, a smartphone, and I don't even know if they're even making non-smartphones. I guess, I see these phones for elderly people, or flip phones and so on. I think they still make those. But just about everybody, on the face of the planet very soon, if majority of the people. I know that a couple of years ago, I knew the statistics of how many people had cell phones and smartphones in the world. I don't know because I haven't researched that recently, but I'm sure it's a lot more than 2 years ago. Bottom line is this. You got a smartphone, you have access to Google, and you are able to research just about anything. All right, so you have no excuse if you want to get into an industry or start. You've got a passion for something. You can literally research everything about that industry probably within minutes. And if you spend a month researching every day, kind of like I did when I got into a specific industry back in 2008 that I've mentioned a couple of times, and I talk about it in the book. I literally spent months, day in, day out, taking courses, studying, and literally I was able to write a whole book about this industry, and I was able to educate an industry that even to date still people don't want to, educate themselves, and I'm the only one that I know of that kind of educated this industry with actually an actual book and courses. Okay, so what am I talking about here again? Researching is easy today. It's available, and there's no excuse for you to research something that you're passionate about. Or again, there's another type of research that you can do. Innovation. You're already in an industry, you already have your small business, it's plateaued, it's in a comatose state, or it's heading south, into the rocks. And, what do? How will research help you with that? Well, basically, you start innovating, and innovating is looking at things that you could probably connect with that your industry, whatever you sell, whether it's a product or service. How can you research? In one of my businesses last year, I was researching what this industry, this business was doing in Europe. Okay, that particular industry in Europe is very different to what it is in the United States. And I started thinking of how I can innovate in the future. I could do it right now if I wanted to. I don't, because I don't have that interest. I don't want to put that amount of money into that particular business right now. But it's completely different. All right, there's actually a separate industry that is connected to that industry that has nothing to do with that industry. Okay, so what I'm saying is, just by researching, where did I research? I researched on Google, right here, Big Brother Google. Okay, so research on Google, and you can basically do anything nowadays. If you want to become an expert on anything, you could literally just go into Google and you start watching YouTube videos, and you get yourself educated in just about anything. Okay, I mean, I've seen another industry that I'm involved in. I was researching literally operations and stuff that involves doctor's degrees, basically. And I was watching to see, and would I have the confidence? Yeah, I guess if I got involved and really researched deep enough, I probably could start doing certain types of operations if I wanted to. And that's what we have today. That's the technology we have today. That's the amount of information we have today, that we can literally study and research anything we want. So there is no excuse for you to get into an industry and not research and do market research, product research, whatever type of research. And if you have a business, okay, an existing business, again, if it's in a comatose state or heading for the hills, okay, heading south into the rocks, there is also something called your clients. All right, whatever your clients are talking about, whatever your clients are complaining about, whatever your clients are giving you feedback, and if they're not giving you feedback, ask them. Ask them to give you feedback. One of the things I've been asking on these videos, actually I asked in the previous video, and I'm going to ask on this video, I'm going to ask you right now. Please ask me questions. Give me feedback, even on these very videos that you're watching. Why? Because if many of you are saying, Ozzy, you suck, your information sucks, I'm not learning anything, then that means I have to go deeper and study more and give you more so that you can get something out of this, okay? If you say, well, I'm learning this, but I have a question about that, then If I don't know the answer, I will research it. If I can't find it, I'm going to find somebody that will give me the answers, okay? Very likely, 99% of the chance, I'm going to look here, okay? Unless I know someone specifically in the industry that you may be questioning about that might not be easy, or I might not find the information on Google, I will very quickly and very easily find somebody that I probably have a connection with in your industry that will give me the answers, okay? And then I'll pass it on to you. As much as I can study, I'll pass it on to you. So your clients, if you've got a business, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's a service-based business, and you have clients, ask them how you're doing, ask them for feedback, and then listen to them, okay? If you haven't read the whole book yet, The Small Business Construction Guide, I talk about that in a future topic, and I specifically use Coca-Cola and the 1985 situation that happened with Coca-Cola when they went into the new Coke, and they, I mean, it's going to be very hard to sink the Coca-Cola brand. It's been in existence over 100 years, but they kind of almost shot themselves. Well, they did shoot themselves in the foot. They were just wise enough, okay, the CEO at the time, all right, was wise enough to turn things around very quickly because people were protesting. They were literally protesting the change of the Coke classic recipe, okay? So ask your clients, if these people, Coca-Cola, and I'm going to go into detail about that again in that specific topic, but had they not listened to it, well, they would not be researching. In that case, you almost don't even need to research. You just need to listen to what your clients are telling you, okay? So that's a type of a research. It's getting feedback from your clients. So in this topic, the best I can tell you is do your research, and then be wise about it. Again, using my personal experience in 2008 when I was researching the industry that I was trying to get into. I'm going to, if you read the book, I go into detail a little bit about that in another topic. But basically, I had to do a ton of research. I was spending day after day. I mean, the first few days after I started doing this, I literally did not sleep. Okay, the first day when I left that office where I was working, because I couldn't do my job, because I didn't know what I was doing, I did not sleep that day. I literally did over 24 to 36 hours study, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I just lost it. Okay, 36 hours. I did not unplug myself from Brother Google. Okay, and 2008 there was Google, and I was researching already. Today it's way more advanced. Okay, as you know. So research the industry. I think in the video I did, the previous video I did, I told you about me not watching TV, so I don't watch TV unless it's business related. And one of the things I like to watch is Shark Tank. All right, I've actually sat down and taken notes on Shark Tank business and so on. And last night, just before I went to bed, I just turned it on. Shark Tank was on, and lo and behold, there was a guy, and it was one of the older episodes, basically going on about his product. He had patented the product. He had gotten a prototype done, hadn't sold a single one, all right, and he wanted the Shark Tanks to give him, I don't know how much, and he was asking actually, he was giving away 51% of the business because he was in such a base state, with his product that he knew that the sharks wouldn't go for less than that. He walked out without a deal. Why? Because he didn't do enough research, market research, specifically market research, to see if that product would sell. Okay? He could have done, he could have just shot it out there on Facebook and asked people feedback. He had it patented already. If he had done that before he went into Shark Tank, he could pretty much do pre-sales. Okay? He would have saved face and probably gotten a deal in Shark Tank had he done the market research. And today, you literally send out a video with your product, especially when it's patented. Nobody could steal his patent, okay? He would be protected, and it actually protected quite a bit about his product. Well, market research. Had he done that, he could have walked out of Shark Tank with a deal with one of the sharks, probably not have to give away 51% of the business, okay? He could probably have given away 20%, they would have negotiated with him to 30%. And next thing you know, he walks out there with a partner, a shark partner, and today he probably could be making millions. But he didn't. So he walked out without a deal and embarrassed. And I've never seen that product on the market. And chances are he spent a lot of money, a lot of time producing something, paying for a patent that is useless, absolutely useless. That is literally the same thing as opening up a business and you don't do the market research. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And if I found out about you, I'm going to put you on the next edition of the Small Business Destruction Guide, okay, as a moron. I don't like you to be a moron. Don't be a moron. I have no desire to talk about morons. I want to talk about people that have taken the advice, have learned the secrets, the mentalities, the guidelines, whatever you want to call that you're going to find out and learning in the Small Business Destruction Guide. Take that, don't apply it to apply it negatively. Okay, it's an oxymoron. So you do the opposite of what I'm talking about, you are going to be able to have success. Okay, at least a lot more success than if you don't do it. Okay, and finally, I want to actually tell you, because I was supposed to record this actual video about 2 hours ago, and I just literally got off the phone an hour ago with a very, very close friend of mine. It's a young lady who lived with us for a few months last year, and basically, while she was here, she's studying in a different country. She's from a different country, and she is studying to be a lawyer. Well, when she was here, I asked her the genie question, all right? And after asking her the genie question, all right, that you learned in the previous video, if you haven't, go back and watch it, all right? I basically asked her, if I was a genie Aussie, you rub me, and I come out and I give you 3 wishes. All 3 of her wishes had nothing to do with law. And I told her, you're wasting your time. I don't think you want to be a lawyer. I don't think you're passionate about being a lawyer. And she was telling me how in her country, there's a great need to help the poor and the needy because they can't afford to have to hire an attorney and so on and so forth, and she wants to help those people. I knew that in her heart she loves people, she wants to help people, but she did not have the desire, she did not have the passion, okay, to be a lawyer. And I told her that, and lo and behold, she sent me a message just before I started recording, and I wasn't going to answer, but I saw the message coming in, and it had to do with her asking me for advice again, and she wanted to know where I studied. Well, and if I had any degrees. I don't have any degrees, okay? I studied, I've got high school education, I took a few courses after that, but I've spent way over $50,000 on my education just in the last 10 years. Okay, that's a college education in a state college. So and that's just out of my head. I'm almost certain I've spent a lot more than $50,000 just on my education, because every time I can take a course, do a seminar, so on and so forth, I spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in one go in a weekend seminar that gives me education that probably a college, a one-year university college, education wouldn't give me. So I'll get more into that in different topics and so on. But right now, I want to talk about this friend of mine, and I had to kind of reiterate what I told her last year when she was living with us here, that she's got to find out now. Her parents just started a new business, and she feels that she's pretty passionate about working in the business. Well, I asked her, and this I'm sharing this with you because I want you to learn the root of everything that I'm trying to teach you here, and this was a great opportunity. Okay, so I asked her, find out what makes your heart beat. Find out the root, the longest and the deepest root of what makes your heart beat in your parents' new business. Okay, is it because they're selling certain types of products, and I think it's nutritional type products and so on, and I told her, don't, if it's the product itself, find out why. And I asked her the questions that I put up on the board in the previous video, the why, what, when, how, all those questions. So ask questions. So I told her, ask yourself the question, why? What is it? What is it that's giving you that, that heartbeat about your parents' business? Is it the administrational part? Is it the part that you talk to clients and you want to help people, you want to help clients? Is it the product that helps the client and that's going to transform the lives of your of the clients of this new business? So once you find out the root, what's going to happen is you're going to build and expand on that, and then you're going to have a nice trunk and a nice tree that's going to bear fruit in time. Because, and I told you, if it's just the desire to make money, if you see that maybe your parents are making money and it's a promising financial opportunity, abandon it right away. It's going to be literally the same as your law degree. She's very frustrated. She's just frustrated and really unmotivated. She used a bunch of words, and I'm speaking in a different language, so I'm trying to kind of translate now in my head. But she really is not happy with her life and this degree that she's studying. And I literally told her, listen, tell your parents, because obviously your parents are paying for this education. Tell your parents to immediately stop paying for your schooling, okay, and jump ship. If that's how you feel now, and I think she's only been a year and a half doing this degree, she's got another, 3-4 years to become a lawyer over there in that country. So, she feels like her parents have spent a lot of money. Well, I told her, listen, this fire is just going to expand and get a lot worse. And if you're feeling bad about your parents spending that much money right now, think about it. In 4 years' time, 3 years' time, whenever you graduate, how much money, and then unless you force yourself to hate your life, because literally that's what she'll be doing, unless you force yourself to hate your life, you're going to be following into a degree that you hate, doing something you hate, and eventually, if you have any sense, you'll abandon it, okay, and start doing what you're passionate about when you can do it right now. So, again, what does this have to do with research? Had she researched the reason why and asked herself the questions why she's getting into this industry or into studying law, 2 years ago before she even started studying, she probably wouldn't be at that situation right now. Her parents wouldn't have to fork out all the money that they did, and she'd probably be, maybe she would have had her parents open up this business sooner. I don't know where she would be right now, but probably not frustrated and angry with herself and frustrated of the fact that her parents spent that type of money on her education that she's literally going to abandon now. But I did tell her, okay, not everything is a loss, because when something like that has happened, and let's say you, for example, right now, are you at the point that, as I've mentioned before, is your business heading for the rocks, and the best the best choice right now is really to abandon ship, declare bankruptcy? Hopefully you never have to do that, but literally just, okay, cut your losses, close the business because it's not going to go anywhere. As long as you've learned something, as long as you've learned why you failed, what caused you to fail, it's not a loss. Think about all the autobiographies of all the people that today are millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires. Literally, all of them have failed. I've personally failed in businesses before, okay? So the important thing is, it's only a loss if you don't learn something. And so what I told her is, as long as you've learned something, and as long as you also use what you've learned in this year and a half studying law, who knows? Maybe you did study something that will help you to develop, a contract or whatever in your parents' business that are going to be beneficial to you. Maybe you know something about the law that you didn't know hadn't you studied this past year and a half that'll help protect your parents' business or do something different in your parents' business had you not studied that. So not everything is a loss, but as long as you've learned something, it's always, always a gain. All right? So don't forget, please ask questions and send me comments. You can email them to me at ozzy@ozzysmos.com, or if this is on YouTube or something like that, write the comments. I will always try to answer all the questions as much as possible. If I can't answer them individually, I will answer them in a group or in another video and make reference to them. All right? Thank you so much. I will see you on the next video, and don't forget, go. It's yours for the taking.